That's going to be this guy. I'm trying to find... There it is. All right, that's going to be this guy. In the bottom right. That's the right Darren. It is Clem.
Too many observers, right, in Europe?
Yes. Yes, there is.
Unbelievable. In the top left, our blue Protoss player from Mystery Gaming is Strange. We'll see if, as we mentioned, his playstyle will reflect his name going into this best of three. As it kind of has to, I guess, if you want to take on Clem. Clem is, had very minor moments in group stages at DreamHack Regionals, etc., where he's looked weak, but generally he's absolutely the player to beat. He's the 5-time champion Europe, and that is for a good reason.
Yep, he is almost unbeatable when it comes to online tournaments. Just needs to move that off to offline. He has so far a very heavily winning record versus Strange. The last time he lost to Strange was back in 2017. So he's currently 19-4 in games. That's pretty good. That's a good score. Strange is going to be in a lot of trouble. And while Strange can do some strange things as a player, I think he really has to, right? He's absolutely 100% the underdog. Facts are saying it. Emotions are saying it. Everyone, I think, agrees with it. Already not having the best start. I mean, it's a response to Engineering Bay block, but clearly Clem is already going to be kind of controlling this game, which, I don't know, I'd be scared if I was a Protoss player up against Clem, no matter what he did, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the cancel in the Engineering Bay. You see it soon enough that you can justify pulling probes instead of taking the base elsewhere. Do not get blocked a second time. No. Are we actually going to drop an Engineering Bay, or are we just going to run the SCV around?
He didn't have enough minerals initially.
Yeah. Even at the end, I wouldn't have minded him dropping it, because there's no Zealot, right? So just on the off chance there's no Zealot, because that would have been painful. You would have had to pull all the probes down again. I wouldn't have minded it, even if it was delayed.
You might be right. You might be right, actually. That might have been worth it. Yeah, well, we'll never know. Clem is going for a factory expand, which I would say an Engineering Bay block leads to a factory expand, what, 70% of the time?
Yeah.
So that's not totally unexpected. Like, Strange should be thinking about this more so, especially because, again, like Clem has been showcasing a lot of his TVPs. He is definitely someone that we consider the overdog, because we all stole that from Cats, and probably is going to try and end this game early. Or control the game early, I should say. Now, what Strange would not expect from Clem is a committed one-base build. That is not so much a Clem thing, but yet we have a Hellion drop on the way.
Yeah. The Hellion drop in itself is, like, very Clem. The one-base heavy commitment to the Hellion drop to speed it up is absolutely the wild part of this, and just not necessary, right? When Clem comes into this as a hefty favorite, like, it's just not needed. So why take the risk of it not working out? Good hide of the Hellions here as the Adept Shade goes up, doesn't see anything, cancels away. And now these next two Hellions about to pop. We go across the map, and Strange has to be so careful with his units, but two Adepts, a Stalker, I don't know, man. I always feel like these Hellions are just going to get so much done.
It seems to be a build that never loses. I've never seen this build lose.
It's crazy how good this build is. Why do Terrans get so many builds that never lose? The 3 racks, the Hellion draw.
I know. It's so bizarre. How do we not win everything? The Hellion drop is coming in from a weird location, but that's on purpose. Like, the whole thing, the whole point is that Strange did scout the more typical location first and then didn't see it, so now he doesn't have the same, I guess, warning. But to be honest, even with 10 more seconds, there's only so much you can do as a Protoss player. Your shield battery wouldn't be done if you started it right then and there. There's only so many units you can build in the early stage of TVP, so yeah, you just have to hope. I guess what you would do is have all your units in the right position, as opposed to dragging them forward, which is what happens here, where Strange doesn't have everything shooting at once, and as such, Clem does get to run around a little bit more and kill 11 probes and save his medevac and 2 Hellions.
I mean, the saving grace to this, I suppose, is that it was off one base. If this was 11 probes and it was a fast expansion too, you're even more in trouble as Strange. Not that this was great for him, just, the CC is only just now moving down to the low ground. I'm just trying to get a bit of hopium in here, ZG. I'm just yeah, obviously it's not a great start. It's not pretty for Strange. And Clem's follow-up, man. Marine tank pretty much already set up. I guess Blink Stalker's about to be done, but I don't think he'll be taking any damage anytime soon. And once he gets some upgrades going, I feel like he's going to be in an absolutely fantastic spot to get across the map and deal some serious damage. Even Starport to the Tech Lab for a pretty fast Raven here.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Even if Clem killed 2 probes with that Hellion drop, I'd still favor him. Like,
Well, yeah. But Clem could have done nothing with the Hellion Drop and be like, well, it's okay because it's Clem, right? And just, you know.
nothing with a one-base Hellion drop is completely fine, guys. But that is kind of the severe difference. It's just, and it's not even that I'm saying that Strange is so bad, right? Positively, I could be saying Clem is that good, but that's not even what I'm saying. I'm thinking more along the lines that it's very clear when some players just cannot, like, push themselves over a particular player, right? That player is their wall. And so even when it looks like they're winning, like Geralt versus Hero Marine is another example of this, where Geralt will have a couple of good games versus Hero Marine. So you're like, oh my god, he's finally going to do it. He's finally going to beat Hero Marine. And then no matter how well it was going for Geralt, something happens. It's like the universe works against him. That's kind of what I'm feeling for this matchup, where Clem could actually have everything go wrong, and somehow the universe is like, well, no, that's not right. Like, you're supposed to win. Like, toss him a bone, you know, and he still wins because of it. So I feel like Strange is really working against a lot of factors here, against stats, as well as just, you know, our general knowledge of the players, but then perhaps even a sprinkling of mystical fate, I suppose. Not in his favor, unfortunately.
The entire universe at this rate, ZG, apparently. Yeah. Strange.
Exactly.
Why did you show up today, Strange, if the universe is against you? Surprised his PC turned on.
Yeah, man, he went to a fortune teller earlier today, and she was like, you may as well just not show up. And he was like, well, you know, I'm supposed to. And he's like, well, okay, if you want to. I don't know, man.
Yeah, you'd be happy if you didn't, you know? Upgrades are going to finish, by the way. Medevac's popping now. There's a third CC behind this from Clem, but this is this first push that is very powerful. 54 to 30 army supply, and I want to say it's at the point where the pros is, yeah, meant to see a bit of a surge of units, but there's still only 2 gateways. The Colossus out, a second one on the way. The real question will be keeping those Colossi alive against the tanks. If the tanks can deal with the Colossi, then brilliant. But, you know, if the Colossi can get the bio, then that's actually going to be a little bit of hope for Strange. Problem is he's going to be doing this to defend a third base, and that's not very, you know, well defendable. You know, if he was up the ramp on the natural, maybe. In this open area on a third, I'm not really a believer. On the ramp?
And he couldn't really track where Clem was going, so he couldn't get on top of the army as fast as he would have liked. But it does look like he's still going to be able to use the bridge to his advantage, which is something.
Matrix,
but it's still like, yeah, you want to get the Matrix popped off much earlier than the actual battle, and that's not going to happen here. In fact, wow, Clem really trigger discipline here. Not going to stem. There he goes.
I was going to say, man, I'm pretty sure we could have just pulled the trigger already, as we are going to see the other Colossus showing up. The tank's quite far back, but doing fine right now. Super battery goes down. Okay, cool. I mean, he could have tried to make it look close, no?
Jesus, like he was like spreading his Marines individually, and I'm just like, stop.
Yeah, dude's
Come
dead,
on.
man.
Yeah.
This one's over. At the same time, by the way, Hellion Drop goes back in the main base, because why the hell not? Just to make sure we all know that Clem is going to be the victor in this game number 1. Very convincing, very solid stuff from Clem. Some good damage early, and just it shows up with the army, honestly. I mean, and when the universe is against you, it even brings that Hellion Drop back in, so what can we do?
Yeah. Yeah. He's so I love Clem so much. He's so try hard in the best way possible.
He was kind of try hard, right? You know what it was though? Like I felt like he made it so complicated. He could have just dropped the Matrix super early, because if he just drops the Matrix at first, it was like 15 seconds. It felt like before the next Colossus showed up. Drop the Matrix and just a-click stim, and Clem's like, no, we're gonna wait, and now I have to micro my StarCrafts off, and just because like he waited a little bit longer. Obviously, just very convincing from Clem. Good damage early. We expect this to be a hefty, you know, favoring to Clem, and that was just everything about it was just in his favor from start to finish.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I was going to say, to be serious for a second, as I spam the chat, apparently. Sorry about that, guys.
What are you doing?
I didn't get modded out. I thought Automat would get that. That was my cat. It literally was my cat. He walked across the keyboard. He put his foot right on that key. God, I'm trying to be serious right now, and it's just not happening.
Everyone in chat's like, CG, is this a sign for help? Is someone holding you hostage to cast these StarCraft games?
I don't how is there no bot that caught that? Like, I'm legitimately concerned about the quality.
You're VIP. You don't get banned.
Well, I thought VIP was literally just like a decoration.
Super important, ZG. You can actually do whatever you want, and that includes spamming the chat. You do anything. Apparently.
Oh no, the power's gonna go right to my head.
Well, before it does, let's get some more StarCraft as we go into game number 2. In the bottom left-hand corner from Team Liquid, our red Terran tryhard, it is Clem.
And in the top right, working against the universe right now, he is Strange.
Repping Mystery Gaming. Apparently no mystery in that last map.
It's a good combination.
It's just rough though, isn't it? Just... You're playing against Clem, you know he's freaking good, you know he can be aggressive pretty much whenever he wants to be. Like, that's the thing, it's not like Clem has to be like this macro Terran player. Like, he is going to be in your face, and he is going to try and force mistakes, and Roddy was saying this the other day, where it's like, if you're the better player, would you not like to kind of, do things early to try and, extend your lead as much as possible and use your advantages as early as you can? And Clem definitely does that. Like, he gets up in your face, he starts attacking you while macroing behind it, and just doing everything he can to put himself into a lead, right?
Yeah. Well, I do have a second to be serious. I do want to say that Clem might not have won that battle as decisively as he did without that micro. Just to be clear, I'm just kind of joking on his micro ability. But then to your point and to Roddy's point, I do think that Clem in particular is that player who, when he has an advantage, and he's also a very modest player, so I don't know if he's literally coming into a best of 3 saying, "Oh, I'm gonna win," but he is a tester. Right? Like, he will test even the best Zerg's ability to micro because he can. Right? So he'll 2-1-1 and then do all the micro tricks that a 16 Marine 2 medevac person can against even the likes of Dark, Serral, and Raynor because he can. And it doesn't necessarily gain him these huge advantages, but sometimes it does because his opponent is actually just that little bit worse. So I would say there are some players who figure they're the favorite and they do just play very standard, basically make no mistake, make no opportunity for your opponent to get in there and do something, and then you win inevitably, is another way to look at it. But Clem, he really likes microing. I feel like you can see his enjoyment in the micro features of StarCraft 2 when he does it. So he will test you, he will push you, and if you topple, that's on you, which is what happened last game.
That's beautifully put, CG. Like a little story.
Kyo, I hope you enjoyed my story.
I did.
I covered the entirety of the 1x expand, so.
Appreciate it. You really good. You guys through the boring part of the game. That's all good. I'm only going to tell you that there's some Hellions on the way, and that doesn't necessarily bode well, because we're just going to build a starport on the map again in Clem. Same build, but with the CC this time, so... this time, if he gets 11 probes, you're really in trouble as Strange. And he's going Robo, which I feel like is like the worst case scenario for defending this. There's a battery right in the back, by the way, too. Huh.
What? Well, he's doing absolutely zero scouting, so he's blind defending whatever he can.
Yeah. Obviously, the battery, it doesn't really help against 3 or 4 Hellions because, I mean, it does in a way, because obviously if you do not hit the shot with all the Hellions in the same place, then it is possible that you get to heal some stuff up. But generally, if 3 or 4 Hellions hit the probe line, they're going to hit at the same time. The probes are going to die without the battery, as the hallucination is going to swap off the factory onto the barracks, and, well, guess what? There's no starport in this main base, so Strange might get a little bit of a heads up to begin with here. He's got 2 Stalkers and a Sentry. The problem is Clem's so good at moving these units around, and it looks as though Strange is going to dive onto the natural when Clem's going to dive into the main, and this is not looking like a good start. Strange isn't going to see the unload in the corner of his main base, and oh yeah, this could not be worse. One Stalker pops out, and well, this entire probe line is just trapped in the main.
Yeah. Gonna go ahead and just transfer over to the natural. Why get trapped up there when he can do more damage here? And there's the lineup. Medevac not being target fired. There we go. Might go down, but then the Hellions can actually escape and come back later. So no matter what, Clem was gonna get some army out of the way and gain a big advantage, and he certainly did. Everything, all at once, everywhere. 15 probes went down. Hellions live. Macro back at home, probably flawless. Strange than a lot of trouble.
So to put it in perspective, last game it was like 26 to 27 workers or so coming out for the harass, and we're like, okay, great for Clem. Now it's 31 to 37, and that's just because he's done A, more damage, and B, been more economically friendly behind it because of the expansions. So Clem ain't messing around, man. He loves his Hellion drops, and he says, hey, if you're not going to stop me from Hellion dropping, I'm just going to do it again and again. Show me you can defend this before I do anything else against you, basically.
Yeah, it's almost like a Ling pressure in ZVZ, right? Where we kind of call it the noob test. Ling Baneling pressure. kind of what Clem's doing. He's like the Hellion test. I would not call this a noob test though, because almost every Protoss has some trouble with this. When's the last time you saw a perfectly defended Hellion drop? Actually, Monday, apparently, I was watching Roddy stream it. Apparently, Showtime did perfectly defend a Hellion drop, or a Hellion build at the very least, and then still lost the game. So when's the last time you saw a Hellion drop straight up lose the game, Morty? Never. That's when.
There used to be a
Clearly
time where it
it's
was like
overpowered.
the Hellion drop got countered by like the instant counterattack of like gateways or something, and like you went across the prism and gates, and you know there wasn't units. But it feels like the Terrans figured out how to defend that, so they started doing the Hellion drop again. Especially Clem, just so good at it. Like he's so good at moving from the main to the natural. Like he knows when to do the lift and switch. So yeah, really rough.
Yeah, no, it was displayed right then and there, actually. A lot of other... I think a lot of Terrans would have said that's already pretty good and then dived in the main base and just lost it. Because they probably still would have gotten upwards of 10 probes with some of the last shots. But he moved over. He saw an opportunity to move over and got up to 15 and saved the Hellions. So just, yeah, displaying the micro that he so loves to display. And Strange, well, he's going to try and basically stay on the straight and narrow, which... You know, more power to him, right? Trying to play out the solid game. Middle of the road could work out well against aggression, but in this case it has not. So it's very tough.
Clem knocks down an observer. He's going to load his medevacs up actually and take those across the map one way. I wouldn't mind seeing the rest of this force just moving through the middle of the map, right? And I don't think, honestly, I'm kind of surprised Clem doesn't just go with everything in one direction. With the damage he's done early, he has the full opportunity to essentially just end it with one big push. Obviously, he does not go for a Raven, so he doesn't have an interference matrix this time. So, like I say, he'll just send the medevacs up and drop. I'm just surprised he's not doing more at the same time, because that just feels like it's what Clem would usually do, but nope. Maybe just going to go with 2 more medevacs. He already drops into this main base. Robo Facility is going to be an instant target here. Colossus should get out. So that's at least one benefit, but that means that's the only Colossus you have alongside the one on the third. Wouldn't mind already getting a Stalker kill. We start a kill pylon. Strange is very close to being supply blocked, and there's an army about to hit his third base as he's pulling everything into the main to defend, and, well, that random batteries EG didn't even help.
I kind of saw that coming, though. With all those Marauders, it was an opportunity for the Concave to come in, and the overcharge went in the main base, so it's unavailable at the third base, and Clem just picks Strange apart.